You want me to answer that now? How do I know when I've finished a piece of music? I start to feel moderately happy with it. And I don't feel absolutely inclined to revisit it again.
Oh, wow, I'm gonna answer that in 30 seconds. I guess, when you finish a piece of music, when everything feels like it's in place, I'll sit there and I'll listen back and forth, and sometimes I'll think it's done and I go, oh, but there's one little spot that seems like something is missing.
When I have nothing else that I feel needs to be changed, and when it really connects, and then the next thing I do is I ask my wife, who's a musician, to come in and take a listen. And if she doesn't have any comments, then I think I'm ready to send it to the director.
Otherwise, before you present it, you'll just work on it until there's no time. But then when the time is out, you present it to the director, that piece of music is done, and then you can do revisions.
Experience, or you reach a point where you have to trust your instinct and you say, I've got goosebumps. I feel like this is amazing and I need to stop or I'm going to ruin it, having done that many times as well.
I simply think it's instinct. There comes a point where one's very conscious that anything further could upend everything that's come before.
When it tells me it's finished, the music is done. I think that's one of the things that's an instinct, but then there's time and circumstance. I like to step away if I have the time and the circumstance to, and come back to it with fresh ears. But then there's this other thing called the deadline, and that's when it's finished.
Sometimes you don't know. I like to think that the song tells you what it needs and you have to be open to it.
And I really want to get down to the core emotional, the absolute bottom line piece of DNA that is the movie or the message. And if you have that, you can score across things that every scene has its own particular demands, but I always point to the bottom line. I never leave.
Well, I can tell you when Larry stops working. Larry stops working when I tell him, stop working. It's great. Leave it alone.
Absolutely. How do you know that the piece of music is finished?
When you don't hate it quite so much.
I know. It's quite simple. It's subtraction. You get rid of all the stuff you hate, and you stay with what's just about livable there.
It's never finished.
My uncle, now aunt, used to be a mix engineer who mixed records. And I was fascinated by the process because in the top end of the record industry, you spend like 3 days. In the late 80s, you'd have 3 days just to mix it. The record's finished, he's got to mix it. And being young and green, I was like, after day one, this thing sounds amazing. It already sounds like the radio. Like, when do you know when to stop? Because I was only 17. And he goes, I tell you when I stop is when I play the record down and there's nothing that annoys me about it.
In the theater, there's no such thing as final cut. It's never done. Each audience is different. Everything changes from night to night. That said, it's good after a while not to keep fiddling,
It's a little different when a song is recorded. Obviously, it's, engraved in stone on some level. And I guess, for something like this song that we wrote, I think I knew when it was finished when I felt it. When I really felt it, and it moved me.
Favorite quote is Miles Davis, who said, "Always quit a solo before you're done," which means that your unconscious mind is probably ahead of your conscious mind. So I try to stay in touch with that inner jazz musician.
It's impossible to explain, but maybe because I'm very lazy. So
you just know. I think.
I know it's finished when I can hear it in the theater, inside a film, with an audience. Then I know that I'm through.